What's up, guys? Synthetic Division here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the NerdQaxe revision 6.1 from Vimu. Now, if you remember from my Octax video, that was the last one I posted. They sent me this with the Octax and just said, "Hey, give it a shot, see what you think." So here we are. Let's go over it a little bit here. So we've got our heatsink right there. There is some spacers in there to keep it from crushing the ASICs, which is kind of nice. Got a LilyGo display, fan on the front, 90 mil, and then a 90 mil fan on the back with a grill. Pretty sweet. The fact that the companies that are building these are starting to notice the trend of people, extra cooling, it's kind of nice. Like a good example of a difference is the Super Hex, where it has holes for two fan headers, but only has one fan header installed. That's a prime example of yeah, they could have added another header, but they didn't. And now they're starting to recognize that people want the extra cooling on these. So it does come with a 180 watt power brick, just a kind of a lab style brick. Nothing too crazy there. The reflection is terrible. Now, the revision 6.1 uses the XT30 connector. And we've talked about these before, but I want to make sure I hit this point home, guys. Before you power these on, plug this in first, okay? Don't plug the brick into the wall first. Plug this into the miner first. So, yeah, so pretty nice little setup. We can see they've already added heat sinks to the voltage regulators right there. That's pretty sweet. No heat sinks on the back inside, unfortunately, but hey, we're getting there. We're getting them to the point where they're understanding that we want more and more and more cooling. And so that's pretty sweet. I can appreciate that. Same with the Octax. They added the two fans to the back of the Octax. That's great. So I'm going to set this up. I don't know if I'm going to update the firmware. I might just run it as it is. I'm going to get it mining on my pools, and then we'll come back for the teardown. So hang in there just a second. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, I want to tell you a little story. I'm going to plug this in real fast, but I want to tell you a little story. It happened this weekend. Kind of crazy. So, related to the XT30 connector. A friend of mine went to hook up one of his LiPo batteries for his RC off-road car, and he killed the controller in the battery, or killed something in the battery. It arced across the XT30 connector. That's a prime example of why it's important, why I think it's important with these. These are a little bit more temperamental, to just plug the connector in first and then plug the power brick into the wall. Just a little quick tidbit. I thought that it was really interesting. I wish I would have recorded it because it would have been crazy. But with the Zyber 8S, I've seen it jump across, but you barely touch it and it starts firing up. And if you touch it wrong, and well, let's look at this. You can almost sort of insert that backwards, and it could arc across. Dirty voltage equals bad voltage, guys. So remember that, okay? So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to get it set up on my pool. You guys have seen a NerdQaxe or Nerd OS setup. I have a video. If you haven't, check it out in my catalog. Pretty straightforward. Similar to AxOS, but not quite. So let me get it set up. We'll get it hashing, make sure it works, and then we'll go from there. So hang on just a second. All right, so we're back up and hashing. It's climbing slowly, 5.6. When I fired it first up, obviously it didn't hash at all because it didn't have my pool info. Once I set it, put it on, we're hitting like 5.6. I imagine it'll get pretty close to 6. Not all of them run at 6.1. Let's be real. Realistically, I should see between 5.7 and 6.1, which would be awesome. Pretty efficient. Currently, it's at 15.78 joules per terahash. Obviously, that'll get a little bit better once this gets higher. I must say, versus the Bitaxe stuff, I'm really starting to dig the color screen. Now, I will be flashing this with some custom firmware. Again, I'll get into that a little bit more. I just barely got back from hunting vacation, so give me some time. And once we get this all squared away, we will talk a little bit more about firmware. But yeah, it's important, I think, because this firmware that I'm going to be using completely steps away from the Nerd OS. Okay, it's a whole different animal. and it has some really robust features. It is open source, but it's not on GitHub. He doesn't produce his stuff on the GitHub. Super cool dude. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But let's go over it real quick. Yeah, 5.79 hash or 5.8. We're looking good. Let's check out the stats that it's running at. So we are, let's see if you can see that pretty good. We're at 90 watts, 7.38 amps input current, and just dropped a little bit actually. ASIC voltage 1.2, input voltage 12.4 from the power brick. Now, remember, your input voltage could vary on the cable and all that other kind of stuff, so don't be too scared by that. I would say if it reaches excesses of 12 and a half, then be a little bit worried. 12 and a half, and it kind of feels like it's going to undervolt itself. Like it thinks it's getting, well, it's getting too much current, so it will try to protect itself. The fans are set on auto, which is great. ASIC temp seems to be hanging out in a good spot. VR temp looks good, and it's probably because it's got heat sinks and it's got air on the back. ASIC frequency out of the box, 725 megahertz with a voltage of 1.2, so 12 millivolts. That's pretty good. It probably got a little bit of an overclock on it. Let's go to the settings real quick and take a peek at that. So it does. It does have its on auto fan control there, and it does have a little bit of an overclock. Now I know that they do these overclocks to try to achieve that advertised rate, but let's talk about that real quick. So this is another one of those miners that I've been seeing on the Facebook groups and on X that people have, they're dying. And the reason I think they're dying is the headroom for power on these are very limited. It's I never see complete ASIC failures so far. I always see power delivery failures. TPSs or inductors or capacitors blowing, stuff like that. I never actually see the ASIC die. And I think what's happening is that we're getting on the end of the lifespan of the BM1370 chip. We're pushing it to its max, like to its absolute max. I mean, we have a 15 terahash octax now. So the overclocking headroom is just kind of getting lower and lower and lower because we're pushing them to their max with the components that are on there. So I don't know for sure if I'm going to overclock this too much because I know that this will trip it at like 8 amps incoming, and it's just bound to happen. So we have to be really careful. And like the octax, it trips, it'll blow its fuse at 25 amps, and it's we just something we need to be careful. Now I am going to build an amp or a fuse holder for this to protect this from bad current coming in. I've got the stuff to make it. It's literally just an automotive fuse. I'll probably put like a 8 or 9 amp fuse in it and call it a day. But other than that, let's get this powered down. I'll move the camera to the top side, and then we'll tear it down and take a peek at everything that we can. So hang on just a second, guys. All right, guys, so we're back. Let's get the screwdriver ready, and I'll keep a regular one ready too. And let's go ahead and pull the LilyGo off. I really like the fact that they're the Nerd series of miners like these, like the NerdQaxe, the NerdAxe, the NerdOctax, are using LilyGo displays. These are so nice, and I don't know if you guys know, this is something I've learned recently. Because the OS or the firmware is stored in the ESP, i.e. this LilyGo display, you can actually flash these without them being connected to the miner and then reconnect them and go. So kind of a cool feature. Let's set the LilyGo off to the side here a little bit. So here we have all of our components. There's a little bit of a canter on this guy right here, but nothing too crazy. It looks like it's connected and working like it's supposed to. It does say Vimu right there. Pretty cool. Let's take these fan plugs off. And then we'll actually take it off of the board, off the stand. I want to get a good look behind the board. It's fascinating to me to look at the components and look for, well, everything. Just sometimes I get bored and I'll start running all the chips numbers to see what they're for. And I could probably look on a GitHub or something like that, but it's fun. It does my research. Let's move that out of the way. Okay, now to make sure I don't drop this, I'm going to hang onto the board a little bit. Okay. There we go. So the brand of fans they are using are called Snowman. You can see that in there right there, and there's the part number for it. And then let's take it back, look at back to the board. Looking good. So this must be where the voltage regulators are. Okay. Some stuff going on back here. See, this is why it's interesting to me, because it's just fascinating to look at the back of these boards. Let's see if we can turn off this light real quick and see if you can get a good look at that. Pretty cool, guys. Like, really cool. I really like looking at this stuff. Now I gotta turn the lights back on so I can see it. So yeah, and then you can see these little white spacers in there. Those are to keep you from using the heatsink to crush the ASICs, because that could happen. You could literally crush the ASICs. I haven't done it myself, but I have heard of people crushing their ASICs. So let's go ahead and get this set up back on here. So not too much of a breakdown. And again, we'll tear it open when we go to do our overclocking stuff, or even just to do maintenance on it. I mean, it's running good now, but of course it's only been running for a few minutes. We'll I'll post updates if there's a problem with it. I don't know. Usually I hope I don't get a problem with that. Would suck. Because, diagnosing a miner is kind of new territory for me. Not quite new territory, but pretty close. So I'm going to use my regular screwdriver just to tighten this down and get it kind of set up. That way I've got it lined up where it needs to be, and I don't have to worry about it getting too far in the way. We got all of our fan connectors out of the way. That's good. I don't know if you could over torque the board. Well, I guess you could. You could use an impact on it and over torque it. We don't want to do that either. Right here, this corner right here, the heatsink almost interferes with the screw, so I imagine you got to be careful with that. Bigger heatsinks, man, it's looking good. It's almost like a computer heatsink. I'm pretty sure it's probably modeled after one. I know that there was some by Thermalright, and if you don't know who Thermalright is, they make paste. I actually have one of Thermalright's water coolers in my PC. Fantastic product from Thermalright, by the way. I have the Frozen War Zone, I think it's called. Now, I have heard horror stories about misaligning pins like this, okay? So make sure you line the pins up correctly. And then the fan headers, we'll plug those back in as well. Make sure that's lined up, yep. I kind of like the fact that these are right in line with the lily goes, so it almost helps you align it correctly. So that's it, guys. Big thanks to Vimu for sending me this. We'll keep you posted on how it does. We'll do some overclocking. We'll do some fun stuff with it. I have some ideas to help with cooling. We'll talk about heatsink placement and stuff like that in the future video. So, also, I probably plan to put it on an avoid bit stand. If you don't know, I have an affiliate link now for Voidbit. Pretty awesome. Check it out. It'll be in the description. It's also on my profile. If you're looking to get into some of Avoidbit's bit track setups, like I'll show you one real quick. I've got one of those sitting right here. These pretty awesome stands like this for the Bitaxes that mount on DIN rails. Voidbit makes some pretty awesome products. He also makes a stand or one of the rail adapters to put a NerdQaxe on. So pretty awesome. So yeah, affiliate link down below for that. Helps support the channel. Helps me buy more miners. Like I don't need any more. But anyways, guys, what's your experience with these? Let me talk to me. I want to hear it down in the comments. This is my first experience with a NerdQaxe as well. QX++ 6.1. I don't even have a regular NerdQaxe. So this is my total first experience with this, aside from the Octaxe, which I guess I kind of started in reverse. I should have started with this and then went to the Octaxe, but I was so excited to set up the Octaxe that I set it up first. We'll do a full review of everything. I still need to do those for Vimu, so we'll definitely do that. We'll definitely go a full review mode for all the devices once the time comes. I like to let them work for a while, let them actually show me if there's going to be any problems before I do reviews. But Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you taking time. Check me out over on X at sin_division. I'll leave a link for that below, or it's in my comment or in my whatever description page, or my channel description page. I post updates regularly, whether it's just about me making food or about miners that you might end up seeing on the channel. So anyways, peace out, guys.